Okay, so are you ready to dive into a future where electric cars, uh, you know, blow gas guzzlers out of the water?
Sounds exciting.
Where your phone stays powered for days and renewable energy is uh, always there when you need it?
I'm
All
in!
right, so that's the future that solid-state batteries are promising, and that's what we're going to unpack today.
Right.
Our guide for this deep dive is a fascinating scientific review from Tohoku University.
Okay.
So we're going to explore what makes solid-state batteries so revolutionary, why scientists are so excited about them, and the challenges they're facing to make them a reality. You ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Great. So the article starts by, really highlighting the wow factor of these batteries, calling them safer and more powerful than the batteries we use now.
Yeah.
So for those of us who aren't battery experts, could you break down what makes this tech so different?
So you see our everyday lithium-ion batteries, they rely on a liquid electrolyte
Okay.
to move charge between the positive and negative terminals of the battery.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that liquid is flammable.
So it poses a safety hazard.
Yeah.
So solid-state batteries swap out that flammable liquid for a solid electrolyte.
Okay.
And that's a seemingly simple change, but it has huge implications for safety and performance.
So it's like switching from, I don't know, a rickety old wooden bridge to a solid steel one.
Yeah, exactly.
Much more stable, much less risk of things, catching fire or exploding.
Exactly.
But the article keeps mentioning these inorganic solid electrolytes, or ISEs.
Right.
It sounds very sci-fi.
It does sound a bit complex,
Yeah.
but think of ISEs as the all-star players in the battery world.
Okay.
They're not just electrolytes, they can also be catholytes and interface layers within the battery.
Wow.
So they're pulling double or even triple duty.
Interesting.
And just like athletes have different strengths, there are different types of ISEs.
Okay.
You've got oxides, sulfides, hydroborates, and more. Each type brings its own unique characteristics to the game, impacting both performance and safety. So instead of a team of specialists, we've got these multi-talented players that can handle, multiple roles on the field.
Precisely.
That's incredible. It sounds like we're talking about engineering on a really detailed level.
Absolutely.
And speaking of details, the article mentions this lock and key concept.
Right.
What is that all about?
That's where things get really interesting. So the lock and key concept refers to how scientists are designing the materials in solid-state batteries to interact perfectly at the electrode level.
Okay.
So imagine each electrode has a specific shape, and the IS is designed to fit perfectly into that shape.
Like a key and a lock.
Exactly, like a key in a lock. This precise fit ensures optimal interaction and maximizes the efficiency of the battery.
It makes perfect sense.
Mm.
And the article quotes researcher Eric Jianfeng Cheng, who says that these new materials require precise tuning. What does that mean, and why is it so crucial?
Well, it all comes down to tailoring the properties of these materials at a microscopic level. By carefully controlling the composition and structure of the ISEs, scientists can achieve the desired energy density, lifespan, and safety in these batteries.
So it's like fine-tuning a recipe to get the perfect flavor and texture.
Exactly. It's like a chef perfecting their recipe.
But the article also mentioned some challenges, specifically these interfacial reactions happening between the ISEs and the battery electrodes.
Yeah, those are important.
Why is that a big deal?
Well, for a battery to function efficiently, the interface between the ISE and the electrodes needs to be seamless,
Okay.
allowing for a smooth flow of ions.
Right.
But sometimes these interfaces can become unstable, and that leads to the formation of unwanted layers that hinder this flow.
So like building a bridge with mismatched materials.
Yeah, you could put it that way. You might get it to stand, but it won't be as strong or stable as it could be.
So these reactions are like gremlins messing things up at the most critical points.
You got it. They can really wreak havoc on performance.
And the article dives deep into these challenges, highlighting the need for compatibility between these different materials.
Definitely. That's one of the key areas of focus for researchers.
So while the potential of solid-state batteries is huge, it's clear that there are some hurdles to overcome.
Yes, there are definitely challenges, but the progress is exciting.
I'm eager to learn more about the specifics of these challenges. Are you ready to delve deeper?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get into it.
One of the biggest challenges is finding the right material for those ISEs.
Okay.
It's like looking for, a unicorn,
Okay.
a material that can do it all.
Yeah.
High ionic conductivity, excellent stability, compatibility with those electrodes, and ideally, it's easy and cheap to make.
So it's not just finding a needle in a haystack. It's like finding a needle that can juggle and do backflips.
That's a great way to put it. And each material comes with its own pluses and minuses.
Right.
Like oxide-based ISEs, they're known for stability, but their conductivity can be a little slow. It's like having a truck that's reliable but not very fast.
It gets you there, but not as quickly as you might like.
Right.
Then you've got sulfide-based ISEs.
Okay.
They're like those speedy sports cars. They offer high conductivity, but they can be a bit more reactive, less stable.
I see.
You push them too hard, they might overheat.
So it's about finding that balance between speed and stability.
Exactly.
It sounds like a dream and a nightmare for a material scientist.
You could say that. And that's where that precise tuning comes in that we talked about earlier.
Right.
Researchers are exploring all these innovative ways to create ISEs with those tailored properties.
Okay.
Like a baker adjusting ingredients and baking times to get the perfect texture and flavor.
So they're like master chefs of the battery world.
Exactly. They're tweaking the recipe to get that perfect blend.
What about those pesky interfacial reactions we talked about?
Oh, those gremlins.
What are researchers doing about those?
Well, one approach is to use protective coatings or buffer layers.
Okay.
Like adding a shield to protect against those gremlins.
These layers act as a barrier between the ISE and the electrode.
So they prevent those unwanted reactions.
Exactly. And that keeps the ions flowing smoothly.
So it's like teaching those gremlins and the electrodes to play nicely together.
That's a great analogy. Another strategy is to modify the electrode materials themselves.
Okay.
Make them less reactive and more compatible with the IC.
So creating a more harmonious environment inside the battery.
Precisely.
This all sounds very lab-focused.
Right.
How does this translate to the real world?
Good question.
The article mentions EVs and renewable energy.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about the specifics.
Sure. So let's start with electric vehicles.
Okay.
Imagine EVs that can travel much farther on a single charge.
Wow.
They could even go farther than gas-powered cars.
That would be amazing.
That's the promise of these solid-state batteries. And with faster charging,
right.
You could charge your EV in minutes, not hours.
No more range anxiety.
Exactly. You could take those long road trips without worrying.
What about the impact on renewable energy?
Solid-state batteries could really unlock the potential of solar and wind power.
How so?
Their high energy density and long lifespan make them perfect for storing all that excess energy.
Okay.
The energy generated during those peak production periods,
right.
Homes and businesses could rely more on renewable energy and less on the traditional power grid.
So your house could be powered by the sun even when it's not shining.
Exactly, thanks to those efficient and compact solid-state batteries.
It sounds like a huge leap towards a more sustainable future.
It really does.
And it's not just about individual homes and cars.
Right.
What about the bigger picture?
The widespread adoption of solid-state batteries could have a huge impact on the economy.
In what way?
Think about it. It could create whole new industries and tons of jobs in manufacturing research and development.
Wow.
And with less reliance on fossil fuels,
right.
We could have a cleaner environment and a more stable energy market.
So we're talking about a paradigm shift.
Exactly.
Not just in how we power our devices, but how we think about energy in general.
You got it.
It's not just about the big picture, though, is it?
No, it's not.
What about our everyday lives?
Think about your smartphone.
Okay.
How annoying is it to always be near a charger?
Yeah, it's a pain.
With solid-state batteries, you could go days or even weeks without charging.
Really?
Imagine the convenience and freedom.
It's hard to even imagine.
And that goes for laptops, tablets, all sorts of portable electronics.
So are we really on the verge of this battery revolution?
That's the big question.
Or is this still a distant dream? It's definitely exciting to think about, but it all sounds pretty futuristic.
Yeah.
Are we really close to a battery revolution, or is this a long way off?
Well, solid-state batteries aren't powering our devices quite yet,
right.
But we're closer than you might think.
Okay.
There's a real buzz in the scientific community, a feeling that a major breakthrough is coming.
So it's not just hype. There's real momentum.
Absolutely. Research labs and companies all over the world are putting a ton of resources into developing these batteries.
Yeah.
We're seeing amazing advancements in materials, science manufacturing processes, and battery design.
And the article mentions some specific companies and research groups that are making progress.
Right. There are quite a few pushing the limits of what's possible. For example, QuantumScape.
Okay.
It's a startup in Silicon Valley. They've been getting a lot of attention for their solid-state battery tech.
What are they doing differently?
They're focused on using a ceramic separator. It offers high conductivity and stability.
Interesting. Anyone else?
Well, Toyota is another one.
Oh, well, the car company?
Yeah, a giant in the auto industry. They've been investing heavily in solid-state batteries for EVs.
So they're betting big on this tech.
They are. They want to have solid-state battery-powered cars on the market within the next few years.
So it's a mix of startups and big companies.
Exactly. All racing towards the same goal.
And that competition must be driving a lot of innovation.
Definitely. And it's not just companies.
Right.
Universities, research institutions, and governments are all playing a part.
So it's a global effort.
It really is. Everyone sees how transformative these batteries could be.
But even with all this progress, there must still be some challenges.
Of course. One of the biggest is scaling up production.
Okay.
Most solid-state batteries are still made in small batches.
I see.
Mainly for research. To make them commercially viable, we need to figure out how to mass produce them.
Right. Make them affordably and efficiently.
Exactly. It's like taking something from the lab to the factory.
Yeah, the classic challenge.
And it's not just about making more of them. It's about making sure they're all consistent.
Right. And safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every battery needs to meet those high standards.
What about the cost?
That's a big question, of course. Right now, solid-state batteries are pretty expensive to make.
More expensive than our current batteries.
Yeah. But, as with any new tech, the price should go down as production ramps up.
Okay.
And as manufacturing gets more efficient.
So it's just a matter of time.
That's the hope. And as the tech gets better and competition heats up,
Right.
we should see prices drop even further.
Like what happened with solar panels and flat-screen TVs.
Exactly. They were really expensive at first, but got much cheaper over time.
That's a good sign. So even with the challenges, it sounds like solid-state batteries have a bright future.
I think so. It's a really exciting field.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Well, solid-state batteries have the potential to really change the world. Everything from how we power our devices to how we deal with climate change.
That's a big deal.
It is. And while this shift won't happen overnight, it's definitely something to watch closely.
Because it could lead to a future with cleaner, more efficient energy.
Exactly.
For everyone. And for our listeners who want to learn more.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on those companies and research groups we've talked about.
Right.
This field is moving fast, and we'll definitely be talking about this again as the tech develops.
It's going to be fascinating to see what happens.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.